If you're looking for easy, easy doesn't happen. You got to look for hard and pick your hard. And that's really, I hate to be so driven and focused, but I'm telling you, I'm an average guy that outworked the many people around me. And I say it, and other people have said it, choose your hard, because easy doesn't make it. You just have to pick what hard can you live with. My name is Joseph Catania. I'm the father of Lucas Catania, who is the originator of the whole channel. I grew up, I don't want to call it in the inner city, but grew up in a low middle class income household in upstate New York in a city actually called Syracuse, New York. When I grew up, it was basically a paper route as a kid, riding a Stingray bicycle, playing Pop Warner football or Little League baseball, and that's all we knew, and that's basically what life was. And I'm 62 years old, soon to be 63, so I went to school, in grammar school and high school in Syracuse, went to college, and at that time the goal was to get into medical school, and that's what the focus was, every day, all day. And ultimately got into medical school, and then I graduated medical school right at 26 years old. At that time, there really was no time off, no years in between school. You just went high school, college, med school, residency. In a blink, I was 31 years old and out of training. One of the things that I did even through medical school is you can become what's called a general practitioner, or you could specialize. And I actually trained in anesthesia and then specialized into spinal injection and chronic pain management. Now, I exclusively perform services related to the management of chronic and cancer-related pain. So I have a practice in a business called New York Spine and Wellness Center, where I share the duties with some other partners, but essentially it grew from nothing to where it is now, and now it encompasses over 100 employees and multiple pieces of real estate and offices and surgery centers and so on. There's people that have been trying to get rich quick for 40, 50 years, and there's other ones of us that have just done it one step at a time. And I had a grandfather who was more of a labor type. Back then you would dig ditches and move things physically, and I remember many times having to do these tedious physical jobs, and I used to kind of talk about them where we had a shovel, sort of dirt or rock or whatever, and the pile would seem enormous of the one you had to move, and I used to say it gets moved one shovel load, one pebble at a time, and somewhere along the way you realize that half the pile that you never thought you were going to get to was now on the side of where you had to put it, and the pile you were moving was smaller than the other one. And those little sort of metaphors just taught me that if I worked harder and longer than in the next guy, I would get to where I wanted to go in a more self-directed, self-controlled manner. I just felt like I could control my destiny, but I had to love the work to get there. I don't tire out. I don't bow out. It doesn't mean I don't have weakness. It doesn't mean I don't have days where I'm like, I don't think I can do another day, but somehow or other I breathe a little life and put my head down and keep going. So I would say it 100 different ways, but the bottom line is choose your hard, because easy doesn't get there. I'm very happy with life. And the reason I bring that up is because the measure of success for many people is very different. And there's many people with more money, bigger businesses, bigger houses, more cars, whatever you want to measure, less work, more work, I don't know. But I feel like I have become very close to checking all the boxes that I wanted for myself when I got to be 60 years old. It didn't come without pain, anguish, and losing some people very close to me. Just so everyone knows, I'm a divorced man. I had different levels of friendships that I sort of wore out along the way, not in a malicious sense, but everyone sort of checks out at some point when the focus is too much for them. It doesn't mean that I was callous or insensitive, but everyone's vision of what they considered success is different. So with that said, my diet really reflects that. I just, unless it's good for me to get to where I want to go, I see no point in indulging. I could have a good time doing a bad drug for the moment, but is it going to help me get to where I want to be? No, I just don't. So that's the way I look at diet. I don't have any reason to consume anything that I don't think is going to get me to where I want to go. And at 62 and a half years old, I can break this down into being pretty morbid and feel like shit, by 70, maybe 75 at the best, I'm going to be able to be really active. That only gives me 7, 8, maybe 12 or 15 summers and winters left. I don't have any to waste at this point. So going backwards, I guess, to when it started when I really, really honed in on the life that I wanted to have. And so just like I don't miss a workout, I don't see why I would smoke a cigarette, drink a beer, or eat a cookie. It's just instantaneous gratification, but does nothing for the long-term goal. So that's how it's easy for me to adhere to the diet. What is my diet? My diet, in my mind, it doesn't mean people agree with it. It doesn't mean I'm a dietitian, and it doesn't mean I'm telling everyone to eat what I eat, but I eat what I believe is a performance-enhancing diet for Joe Catania, period. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not selling my diet. I don't do anything on the air other than help support my children, and that's why I'm doing this. But my diet is 10 egg whites in the morning with some sort of whole grain, either oatmeal or a Kodiak pancake, which I love. It's like a treat. I consume some sort of a protein supplement between the breakfast and lunch hour with a banana. My lunch is generally a low-fat chicken, tuna, cottage cheese, something to that effect. Then it's a mid-afternoon protein bar, potentially, a workout, either cycling or weight training, pretty much every day, but I'd say 6 days a week in a cross-training manner. Then it's a dinner that's salmon, chicken, maybe some bison or some free-range mammal type thing, venison, bison. And then it's a nighttime snack, which I'm big on Greek yogurt and some chocolate chips. And then it's a rinse and repeat. When I say rinse and repeat, I've always said it, and you heard it. We feed dogs a cup in the morning and a cup in the afternoon. I just consider us a higher order mammal, and so I eat the same thing every day, all day, barring rare exception. I don't eat a Christmas cookie. I don't eat a pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. I don't eat Halloween candy. I just don't, but I don't do it to prove a point. You're asking me how do I do it? That's what I do, because I don't see that it's making me live longer, be stronger, be better, so I don't consume it. I was lucky, and I was lucky not because someone handed me something. I consider myself lucky because I knew what my goals were at an early age. And I think that's the first step in getting the life you want, is you really have to know what you want, so then you know how to blaze the path, you know how to create the direction. And I was lucky. I was a 12-year-old kid who said, I want to be a physician. I wanted to be a doctor. Maybe because I was that ignorant, I didn't know what else there was out there, but I believed that that's what I wanted to be. And so from 12 to 14 to 16, I didn't enter college without a direction of pre-medical training and then medicine, and then from there on out. So my good fortune was knowing where I wanted to go, not knowing how to get there. Then from there, I was trying to figure out how to get there. So once you identify your long-range goal, then I think it's easier from there. Then it's, what does it take? Then you ask a mentoring figure, how did you get there? What did you do? Can someone give you a little bit of advice? And you take the little bits of advice from 10 people, and you got a lot of merit and a lot of advice that makes sense in there. And then you just keep honing the path, honing the path, honing the path. But you cannot... You sort of cannot waver once you dig in. Let's put it that way, because hard is coming.
What has Joe done to stay healthy throughout his life? I love his work ethic and hope to be able to ski with my children and grandchildren someday. Joe is a great example of what I hope for myself as a future father.
It's pretty flattering. I would tell that person, thank you for that, but it's probably somewhat unjustified, an unjustifiable compliment. But a lot of my strength comes from my children. And I always felt that my children revitalized me when I was down. My children accepted me for who I am, even though I felt I had faults. So I think giving a child a small bit of love, they give you multiple times that back, and that energizes a person. So I really think that a lot really comes the other way from that question. I don't feel that I did as much to help the process as much as the people around me kept giving me the support that I needed to pursue my dreams. So there energizes the diet. Therein lies the energy for the workout. Therein lies the energy for this, sort of the fun endeavors, if you can call it that. I truly lived, live, and will die by the mantra that I only act in a way that I can lay my head on a pillow every night, that my parents are proud of me and that my children are proud of me. If I can't live with that as my primary goal, then I did something wrong. So every day I try to act in accordance with making the people around me feel that I'm a good person, a kind person, and a focused person. And that's that if you can develop that in your daily routine, you're already there.
Okay, Chris from New Zealand says, not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited about this. Love Papa Joe. My question is Papa Joe coming skiing in New Zealand with me next year?
That's another tough one. The hard part for me, and this is a fault, so I will acknowledge it as a fault. I am so ingrained in my routine, I find it very challenging to get out of my routine. And one of the apprehensions I have with travel is it's hard to maintain my routine. I have to eat the way I want to eat. I exercise. Even though I ski all day, I tend to still focus on some form of exercise. So that the jury's still out on that one. Would I love to? I think so. It just depends on the agenda that gets developed.
Adam just says, wishing you guys a great, healthy ski season.
Thank you, man. That is our number one goal, and that sometimes that can be hard to achieve when you're trying to push the envelope a little bit.
Carson asks, what is his most memorable ski run?
It's a Snowbird Great Scott to Mach Schnell and down to the tram nonstop. And on a POW day, that run leaves nothing on the table.
What is his top 3 bucket list ski runs he wants to do?
I think Big Colura at Big Sky should be one that we need to do. I think there's so much untapped at Kicking Horse that I'm excited to go back, because I think we're going to get into some of those. But I don't really know the names just yet on those. I think we need a return trip up to AK, up to Alaska. That Alaska heli trip was bordering on great, but again, no fly days can really bite you up there.
What are 3 ski runs he'd recommend a father and son do, any level of difficulty?
I mean, number one is a Great Scott at Snowbird. I mean, that is just an awesome run, and you can get into it from so many different exciting ways, through Rat's Nest, over the Cirque. So I mean, that's a definite on there. I like 6 Bells at Jupiter. It's at Park City. I think is another it's a great confidence-inspiring run. And when you catch it like we have on no tracks in there on many days, that can be really exhilarating. And I don't even need to say it, but Champion at Deer Valley is a must run for a mogul run for any dad and his son.
Favorite ski resort?
I guess I would still rate Snowbird as my number one resort, all in.
Does he ski on the East Coast, and where?
I don't anymore. I grew up there skiing, and it was started off in the areas around Syracuse, Song Mountain, Labrador Mountain, then started traveling to Vermont, and then ended up doing quite a bit up in Whiteface and Lake Placid, New York, and then, be honest with you, discovered out west and never skied back east after that.
Is it more difficult on the east/ice coast or west coast to ski?
They both have inherent challenges. I would not say that one equates to the other by any stretch. I think the vastness of the terrain in the Rockies is really immeasurable and super exciting, but the snow quality allows you to do a lot more. I think there's no question there's a technique to ski the challenging terrain in the East Coast as well. But I would really tell people, and I say this to be sure and apologetic to not to offend anyone, they're 2 very different sports, East Coast skiing versus Rocky Mountain skiing.
Do you still have nightmares about Lucas taking you on the hike of death, headwaters at Big Sky.
I'm not gonna lie. I have much more of a height equilibrium issue and a steepness equilibrium issue than Lucas. But no, I don't have nightmares about it. But it definitely, I have a strong respect for that mountain and that level of terrain. I think that was probably one of the first times in my life that I realized that skiing, there are places where skiing could be over my head or above my ability, I guess is what I mean. Before that, I really didn't feel that there were many places that I would be tested for risk of serious injury, but that area definitely was an eye-opener.
How have you revised your ski setup as you've gotten older?
Definitely shorter skis, quicker turning. I look at the turn radius on skis when I buy them, and I have shortened skis. And probably the single biggest improvement and non-negotiable change is proper boot fit. I invest in the best boot and have a fitter that knows what they're doing. Fit me with footbeds, molding, and booster straps on all my boots.
The last one from him is, what is he most proud of Lucas for?
I'm proud of Lucas for the person he is. I think his high moral standard and unwavering integrity is absolutely my top on the list. I could give 100 below that, but without question, his unwavering integrity and high moral standard is top on the list.
Cade Green says, has he ever skied the Salomon 1080 L171 Silver 2004 skis?
No.
Would they be a good ski to learn the park in 2023-24, assuming you got them for free?
I'm just not sure on that. I am much more knowledgeable on all mountain skis and mogul skis. I wouldn't be able to answer that fairly.
Bean Townsend says, just talk about the early days of getting you, meaning me, into skiing, and what was the hardest part of that journey?
That's a fun question, and it's a good question, because I would say this applies to any parent who has a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and even a 4-year-old. I would say it this way: there were many days of shedding tears, and I don't mean it with Lucas versus another child, but not skiing was not an option. It was what we did and how we shared the experience. And there was little bits of trickery. And not going to lie, I bribed him with chocolate. I told him we were on our way in, even though it was our first run up, and we just had to ski over and around and up and down in a shortcut back down. And by the time they knew it, it was 2 p.m. So you're a parent knowing that as much as you love the sport, they're going to love the sport. But as a young child, they just don't see it at that age. So it's more of a matter of figuring out how to manage them through the day to lock in a good 4 hours, 5 hours of skiing.
Eric Elliott says, how did he get into skiing?
I had a close friend who they were very German. And this was when I was really young in elementary school. And I had a relative who gave me a pair of skis. I knew nothing about them, but this family from Germany was a skiing family. And a little local mountain near Syracuse, New York, they just agreed to take me with them. And interestingly, the father, being from Germany and somewhat militant, but a kind man, felt that there was no reason for me to do anything other than hike the hill with my skis. And so in those days, lifts were very antiquated and slow. And so I would hike the lift while I would hike the trail while the family would ride the lift. And we just played all day in the snow like that. I thought it was awful in some ways, but looking back at it, it really taught me the basics of skiing and edging and knowing how to be efficient on your skis. And so I did that for over a season until he finally felt I was, quote unquote, good enough to ride a lift. And then from there, I kept on finding more fun in skiing and less work in skiing.
Skier Kids asked, will he be coming on the East Coast trip?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the challenge is getting you there, not me. Yeah.
Nathan asked, what was the conversation on a ski lift that stuck to his memory?
I guess I don't have one that's coming to mind right now.
That legend says craziest Lucas story that Papa Joe has.
It clearly has to do with on a POW day, with the way we would fight to get up the lift and no word, to get an early chair, and then no words as we departed the lift, almost you could tell you both had that dry, chalky, dry saliva in your mouth, knowing that you're just racing from the lift to your favorite spot. And this in particular run was a Jupiter lift down Main Bowl with Lucas and I, where he hit the rock off the pole, just 3-turn straight run and just launched off there. And basically it was a no words, all action run.
All right, last one here. Save the best for last. From Louis Oberding. Does Papa Joe feel like he's, quote, earned the rocking chair, end quote?
I'm not done, I can tell you that. I'm not ready for the rocking chair. No, I am nowhere near. I have big plans coming up. No, I have big plans. I'm still training regularly in the off season and bikes and weight training. I'm water ramping. I'm skiing with people that are giving me instruction. No, I'm not. I'm gonna earn it, but I'm not even close yet.
So you don't feel like you've earned it as of now?
No, I'm not laying down. I'm actually dying in the game. I didn't say I'm going to actually sit in the chair. My plan is dying in the game.